All right. Hey, welcome. We are live on Clubhouse, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We're going live on every platform. Well, we kind of missed Instagram, but we will get there soon. So here's what we're talking about today is it's going to be how to find, connect with motivated home sellers, find and connect with. And you're going to be able to use this no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're selling. This is going to give you some strategies on how to go out there and connect with people you don't know yet and be able to keep them engaged in a conversation so that you can help them with their business or help them solve a problem that they're dealing with. So let me jump right into my live stream now. So this is our ACE method, and it's the Get Listings webinar. All right. So some of you have seen this. My name is David Hill. I'm a 37-year outbound sales expert, multiple industries. I spent my last 19 years in the real estate space. Member of Gary Keller's private mastermind from 2011 to 2014. When I left Keller Williams the year before, I had spent a year working directly with Gary and his team, calling independent brokerages and actually setting up appointments between Keller Williams and indie brokerages around the country to meet directly with Gary. I was also a Keller Williams University trainer from 2013 until I left Keller Williams around 2019, meaning I used to go around the country and teach their curriculum. I wasn't one office trainer. I was actually one of the university trainers, coached by Tim Story from the Miracle Mentality. I've also had multiple business coaches in my life, and I always have at least one, and in many times two business coaches helping me. I'm a One Thing certified trainer as well, author of the Amazon best-selling sales playbook, the 11 simple strategies to get more sales, and host of the Path to Mastery podcast, which we're going to be launching this on, which I'm excited about this, beyond all the live stream. And here's the coolest thing. I've had Gary V on my podcast. I've had Mel Robbins, Grant Cardone, just so many amazing people on my podcast, James Altucher. And the list keeps going, and the list is going to keep building. Also an Ironman competitor. I completed my first Ironman race in 2019. And I am a grandfather as well as a father of 3 amazing daughters, a husband, and just a family man. And I absolutely love teaching and training. So you guys are probably asking me, well, geez, David, how did you get into real estate? So I'll tell you, years ago, it's 20 years ago now, my 10-year-old daughter, Jacqueline, came home one night and she said, you know what, Dad, you should get your real estate license. Sue's mom makes a ton of money selling real estate. I was just like, okay, all right, whatever. Do I not make money? But anyway, I didn't think much of it. For whatever reason, though, the next morning I woke up and it was on my mind to get my real estate license. And so I signed up for the real estate course. And, jumping forward now, I realized it was probably one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever gotten from my daughter, Jacqueline. So anyway, my first day in real estate, I joined the Steve Clements team, and he tells me, I want you to show up at our office. This is on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I want you to bring all the real estate sections from the local newspapers. So that was all our papers, the Globe, the Herald, the Telegram, the Metro West. He goes, I want you to bring 4x6 index cards, a highlighter, scissors, Scotch tape. And I'm thinking, like, what does this stuff have to do with real estate? But anyway, I said, okay. So when we showed up, the first thing he had us do is he had us highlight all the for sale by owner ads in the newspaper and then he had us cut them out and tape them to the top left corner of the 4x6 index card. I mean, crazy. Was the system back then, the clunky system to find and track those for sale by owner leads. Steve then handed all of us scripts. There were 3 of us, by the way, and told us to read the scripts over by ourselves 5 times. We did that for about 15 minutes. And then we practiced with each other, role playing back and forth for another 15 minutes. And he said, okay, let's go. Let's get started. He said, let's get those phones out and we're going to make some calls. We're going to call the people on those index cards. I'll tell you, I had some experience calling, but I was pretty nervous at first. So I remember my first call, super nervous. I was like, hi, this is David Hill from, and then super nerd. And then before I could even finish, they were like, yeah, we're all set. Click, hung up. It's like, okay. Next call, I stuck to the script again. I was like, hi, David Hill from Keller. And before I could get the Keller out, they jumped in. Oh, buddy, wait, hey, we're all set. If we need a realtor, we'll give you a call back. Click. Steve said, you're doing great. So my third call now, I used Steve's script again. This time I got a bit further, but the person did eventually end up, they were more polite, but they end up hanging up on me. So again, Steve said, you're doing fine. Keep it up. This is normal. So on the fourth call now, I went a bit off script and I said, hi, my name's David Hill. I'm a realtor. Would you be open to hiring me? The person paused and said, maybe. And then I was just like, I started stuttering because I wasn't even sure what to say. I wasn't expecting the maybe. Steve told us what to say if they said yes or no. So anyway, Steve grabbed the phone out of my hand and we closed for the first listing appointment. It's funny thinking back. I was very grateful for Steve at the time, but I really in that moment, realized I had no idea where I would get my next listing. And a couple months later, I stayed on Steve's team for about 4 months, and I thought to myself, there had to be a better way of doing this, and that was when I started my own team about 5 months into the business. So jump forward 19 years, tens of thousands of hours spent on training myself in personal development and working with different systems and thousands of calls. I mean, tens of thousands of calls, listing over 1,000 homes. I took that process from a clunky index card system to a system that provides the best information to me every single morning via email. From a stuttering cold call to a non-scripted, clear way of asking questions and handling objections, and from no idea where I would get my next listing to a simple process that I can pick up the phone at any point and find a seller listing. And I promise you, if I can do this, you can do this as well. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you exactly how I did it. So let me share this screen with you. So the step that we like to talk about is what I call the 3 steps. And the overview, though, is the 3 things we're going to talk about right now is number 1 is the 3 steps I'm going to share with you in a minute. I'm going to also share my biggest mistakes, the mistakes that I made that I'm going to hopefully help you prevent, not make yourself. Okay. And then finally, we're going to, at the end, do about a 10 to 15 minute Q&A session. So make sure you hang out for that session. All right. So there's 3 things you need to know. Number 1 is the greeting. The greeting is going to be critical because the reality is you have about 5 seconds to make an impression before somebody will make a decision whether they're going to hang up on you. The next thing we're going to talk about is the fact finding, which is once you've caught somebody's attention, now you have to keep them engaged in the conversation. And finally, we're going to talk about exceeding expectations. So I want to get to the greeting. Again, you have 5 seconds. That's 5 before somebody decides if they want to stay on the phone with you or not. And I'm sure everybody listening to my voice right now, if you're listening to me, I'm guessing at some point you got called by somebody you didn't know, whether they're a telemarketer or whether they're calling for a service or whatever the case may be. You got called by somebody you didn't know, and you make a decision as soon as you pick up the phone and hear their voice and hear what they say. Do I want to continue in this conversation? So the 3 things that I've learned over my experience is these are the 3 that will help somebody decide. Okay, so number 1 is going to be direct. I am very direct in my approach. And what do I mean by that? I tell people exactly why I'm calling and the intention behind my call. And it sounds like, hi, this is David from eXp Realty. The reason for my call is, again, very direct to the point. There's no, hey, how's it going? How was your day? No, it's, did I get you at a good time? No, I don't say that either. I say, did I get you at a bad time? And that rolls us right into the second one, which is respectful. Because everybody makes the mistake of asking people, did I get you at a good time? Let me ask you this. Is there ever a good time for you to take a cold call? Is there ever a good time for somebody in the middle of the day to just interrupt you in the middle of everything you're doing to jump on a call? No. So you want to be respectful. I didn't make this up either. I got to give the credit to Chris Voss, the lead FBI hostage negotiator, because I got that from him being on my podcast twice. And I promise you, when I started working it, when I started using it, it made a huge difference in my business, in people wanting to engage with me, because you're giving control of the conversation. You're respecting their time. So again, be direct to the point. My name's David, eXp Realty. The reason for my call is, did I get you at a bad time? Now, some people will say yes. And if they say yes, then again, respectful is what? You say, okay, when is a better time to get back to you? And you're actually going to throw some people off by saying that, because they're not going to expect that, because most telemarketers don't do that. Most people that are cold calling them don't do that. Most people that are salespeople on the phones aren't going to do that. They're going to try to keep them on the phone, even though they just told them it wasn't a good time. Okay. So again, be respectful. If someone says, yes, it is a bad time, then I'm going to say, great, what's a better time to get back to you? And I'm okay getting back to them. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to see this. Excuse me. Here's what's going to happen more times than not. If somebody says, yes, you got me at a bad time, and you say, okay, great, when should I call you back? They're going to say, well, you know what? I mean, what do you need? You're on the phone anyway, because you just gave control of the conversation back to them. So listen, whether you believe this works or not is not what's important. What's important is you go out there and you test it out for yourself. So if you're the type of person that always says, did I get you at a good time? Try switching it up and you'll see the results for yourself. And the final thing is, be honest. This is one of the things I see that is the most challenging. It's people calling and trying to do bait and switch, calling and saying, this is why I'm calling, or this is why I want to meet with you. And then just to get in front of the person, they say anything they need to say. And then when they get in front of the person, they switch it up and they start doing something different. This happens very commonly in real estate, where you have real estate agents that will say, hey, I want to come look at your house for a buyer. And then they get to the house, they don't really have a buyer. They start trying to pitch a listing presentation. I feel like people resent that. And what does it do? It hurts real estate agents in general. So stop doing that. Okay. So the first thing with your greeting, be direct, be respectful, be honest, tell them exactly why you're calling. I hope you guys wrote that down. Make sure you write it down. Direct, respectful, honest. Okay, the next one is knowing your avatar. You need to understand who you're calling. Okay, so if you're calling a for sale by owner, then know the objections they're going to give you. Know that most for sale by owners are selling themselves because they're trying to save the commission, and they think they're saving the commission. They may not be saving it. They may be wrong, but you cannot tell somebody they're wrong. You have to help them self-discover. So know your avatar is critical. I want you to spend a little bit of time before you make a call to anybody, figuring out, okay, why are they doing what they're doing? Who are they? What are their biggest challenges? What are their biggest problems, their fears? And ultimately, what objections are they going to give you so you can prepare yourself? All right, that's my little bonus slide right there. Step number 2 is fact finding. How do you keep people engaged in the process? You fact find. Okay, you ask great questions. It always starts, now it doesn't always start with deep questions. It typically starts with an easy surface question. Okay, like, geez, what's causing you to sell the home on your own? Or, wow, what do you think prevented the home from selling last time? And then from there, you share a story. Okay, now I obviously, if I go back to the avatar, if I'm talking to a for sale by owner, I have stories. Remember, this is called connect with motivated sellers. Motivated people are people that are thinking about selling their house right now. So I share stories. I have multiple stories. I have 15 Lakeside Ave. I have 156 South Main Street. Those are my stories. So when I tell somebody a story about how I help somebody else just like them, it keeps them engaged in the conversation. Also shows that I'm not just fluffing. I'm not just calling and, like I said before, lying to them and saying what everybody else says. I'm sharing real life stories, and I am prepared to send them facts, send evidence. And I say that excuse me, when people say to me, well, that's what every other realtor says. I've said to people, well, have they sent you evidence? Have they actually sent you proof that they did what they said they did? And in most cases, they're like, well, no. Okay, well, let me do that. We don't even have to go any further in this conversation if you don't want to. Let me send you some examples of what we've done. And if you think that can help you, then great. We'll do some business together. If you don't, you can hang up on me. As a matter of fact, I'll hang up on myself. How's that? So sharing stories, critical. Keep people engaged, asking deep questions. And when I say great questions, I mean deep questions. Okay. Why is somebody moving to Florida? Yeah, because it's nice and warm weather. But why is really somebody moving to Florida? Those are the answers you need to get the questions to. I had a couple that would have told you they were moving to Florida because they didn't want to shovel snow. And some of you have heard me share this story before, but the real reason they were moving to Florida was because the husband had a mild heart attack the year before shoveling snow. And the wife knew he refused to hire somebody because he was too cheap to shovel snow. And she was scared to death that he would go shovel snow again and potentially die of a heart attack. So that was really why they were moving to Florida, not because they wanted to get away from the winter. So when it came crunch time and they had an offer that made a lot of sense, but they were standing firm, I was able to remind them as to why they were really moving to Florida. And then the final thing I'm going to say with fact finding, all right, fact finding is critical, is when you ask great questions, let that pause, that tough pause we all deal with, let that pause do some heavy lifting for you. Listen, let them finish. A friend of mine, Jarek Robbins, he's Tony's youngest son, awesome guy. A friend of mine, he's I believe he's the editor, publisher now, or he's at Success Magazine. Anyway, I coached with him years ago, and one of the things that was super interesting about Jarek is he would ask me a question, and then I would answer his question, and then at the end there'd be this pause, and I'd be like, "Hello, are you there?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were done." And I was like, "Wow." He's like, "Yeah," and that happened all the time because he would let me finish. And what he ultimately wanted me to do was, how people will start talking again. Like if you don't fill the space, somebody feels compelled to fill the space. They'll start talking again. So let them finish. So number one, share your great story, ask great questions, deep questions, let them finish. And then the final three strategy, number 3 that we're going to give you today, all right, is exceed expectations. That's it. This is not complicated at all. I want you to think about Amazon when you think about exceeding expectations. I believe it's one of the strongest models when it comes to exceeding expectations. Why? Because you can get anything you want, anything, pretty much anything. You get it immediately, right? You just go on your computer, you get it, you can see it. You know you're going to get the best pricing. You're going to have it delivered without having to leave your house. Okay. In some places, you can have it delivered immediately, like within an hour. And here's the best part. If you don't like it, you refund it. Send it back. No questions asked. Here's your money. Tell me, anybody, if you're watching this, send me a DM, message me and say, I got a better model. Because I want to know. I want to be able to share a better model. I haven't found one yet that's stronger than that. So what did I do 10 years ago? I implemented this type of a model. Even before Amazon, we were implementing a model in our real estate business, which was the hassle-free program. Meaning if you're not 100% satisfied with us, in 30 days, you can terminate our listing agreement. Okay, I would tell them right straight out, listen, why should you hire me? Because if you're not 100% satisfied, I'm not going to hold you hostage. I'm going to let you terminate my listing agreement. So let us show you what we can do. And I took so many listings over other people just having that simple guarantee. Obviously, I knew my stuff well. I knew my market well. I mean, I'm a good presenter. I do what I need to do, but having those extra tools made a big difference. So exceeding expectations. There's a saying out there. It's we over promise. I'm sorry. The saying is we under promise and over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. As becoming a Grant Cardone licensee, one of the things I learned from Grant is Grant says, no, you over promise and over deliver. That's next level. Over promise, over deliver. That is what I'm talking about. That is the next level of service, the next level of expectations. So from the first conversation, what this means is from the first time that person has any interaction with me, all the way through getting their property listed on the market, through selling their property, and then even after it's sold, what kind of expectations am I putting on the table? Like they're still hearing from me. They're still getting information from me. That's how you create clients for life. So some ways to do that, obviously use a calendar system. You need a system. Without a system, it's very difficult to exceed expectations. Maybe if you're working with two people, you can get away with it. But when you start to scale a business, you have to have some types of systems in place, or it's just not going to work for you. That's the bottom line. So next one is set reminders. Here's a perfect example of that. I spoke with an expired seller. He said to me, hey, listen, I'm all set. I says, well, what are you going to do with the house? He said, I rented it. I said, great. How long did you rent it for? He said 2 years and hung up the phone on me before I could say another word. So I said, okay, great. I went into my calendar, which is Vulcan 7. I still use Vulcan 7, by the way. He went into my calendar. I'm sorry. I went into my calendar and I made a note. He rented the house for 2 years. And I set a reminder call 20 months later. Now I moved on to my next call. Forgot the guy even existed. Forgot he existed until 20 months later when I logged into Vulcan 7 that morning and I saw the little reminder. I looked at it. Didn't even remember the first conversation, but I saw the note. The note said the house was an expired listing and he had rented it for 2 years. So I gave the guy a call. He answered the phone. And, he was a lot more engaging this time because he wasn't getting hammered by real estate agent calls. And he's like, you know what? He goes, that's a good question. And I started my call again, the way I start calls. Hi, David Hill from, that was when I was at Keller Williams. Hey, the reason I'm calling is you had a house that came off the market in Bolton about 20 months ago. I know you mentioned you were going to be leasing it for 2 years. Do you know if the tenant's going to be renewing or are you going to be selling the house? And he said, wow, that's, he's like, I don't know. It's a good question. He goes, you know what? Give me a call back next week. So anyway, call him back. What do? I go into my calendar. I schedule a reminder call for 1 week. Call him back 1 week. He says, yeah, they're going to be renewing for another year. Give me a call back in a year. Perfect. Go into my calendar. What do? I schedule a reminder for 12 months out. Forget the guy exists. Again, forgot he even existed. What happens a year later? I log into Vulcan 7. I see the reminder. I give him a call. He says, you know what? The tenants are leaving. I want to know what the house is worth. Can you give me an idea what it's worth? Absolutely. Went over to the house, met with the tenants, looked at the house. 4 months later, the house was on the market. To make a long story short, signed, sealed, delivered, sold, $750,000 listing. And that's a perfect example of how to use a calendar and reminders. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And I said this in the beginning, if I can do this, anybody can do this. That's what I promise you. So that's how you exceed expectations. Also, sending valuable information is critical. Information that they care about. That's what people want. Information that they care about. You know what sellers care about? Information about their property. That's it. I'm telling you, they don't care about recipes anymore. They don't care about, some of them may like sports. If you know somebody's into sports, then yeah, send them something on sports. But people want information about their house. So the mistakes that I made, number one is going too fast. I always went way too fast. I was just a grinder. I was taught, and I didn't make this up, but I was taught, you either leave with the listing agreement or in handcuffs. I mean, I never technically left in handcuffs, but I left a lot of times without the agreement and never received a return call. So I had to learn how to soften things up. That was one of my mistakes. Okay. Just being super, super aggressive, direct. And you have to figure out what the balance is for you. I figured it out for myself, where you want to be persistent, you want to be assertive, you want to help people make decisions, but at the same time, there's a line that gets crossed by a lot of people, and you have to know where that line is for yourself. Okay, another mistake I made is I never focused on marketing. We were always just prospecting based. Like, all we did was prospect. All we did was cold call. And I'll tell you, it got us up to 120 transactions a year. But I feel like if we would have focused more time and energy on marketing, we would have got to even higher and higher levels. So that said, as I said earlier, anybody can do this. Okay. I know that for a fact. Anybody can do this. So here's what I get. One of the most common questions is, David, can you help me get more real estate listings for my business? And the answer is, of course, yeah. But the next step for you is to sign up for our 2-day sales and listings execution workshop. This is a workshop where I'm going to teach everything I know, not just the stuff we just talked about, but the stuff that comes from Grant Cardone's sales execution workshop. Okay, this is the stuff that's going to help you become a better salesperson. One of the mistakes I've seen in sales is that, people come into real estate and they learn like the fundamentals of real estate, and they learn how to assess and get home valuation and things like that, and do a CMA and all that stuff, but they never really learn how to sell. They never really learn how to help people get beyond certainty, because when people are uncertain, they won't make decisions. So our next workshop happens to be Monday, the 23rd and the 24th. But I do these workshops quarterly. So if you're watching this beyond that, just go to davidhill.link and you can sign up for our next workshop. If you're watching this now, as I'm recording this, the workshop starts tomorrow, May 23rd. Again, use that link and we'll get you into this workshop. If you DM me, I will actually send you a special code so you can save $400 on the workshop. So here's what I want to let you know. Whether you're a brand new agent and you've never taken a listing, or maybe you've taken listings, but you want to learn how to take more, or let's just say you're like me or some of the people I trained, a high-level listing specialist, but you really want to get to the next level, even the next level up, then this event is for you. I want you to picture a day when you, like I said earlier, can confidently pick up the phone and call anyone, anytime with confidence. I want you to picture a day when another real estate agent calls you and says, man, how are you getting all these listings? Like, wow, what are you doing? And then I want you to picture a day when you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You have the wealth to do whatever you want, to travel, to take time off, to do whatever you want. Well, that day can start tomorrow. That day can start today. Because it doesn't matter when you're listening. If you're listening to this today on May 23rd, 2022, phenomenal. You can join us tomorrow. That day can start right now. If you're listening to it after, then you can go to that link. And as soon as you sign up, here's the reality. Here's what everybody doesn't realize. When you start, things start when you sign up, when you take action on something. That is when the change starts. So I'm going to share on my screen. Here's the offer. Okay. This is a special offer for today only. This workshop that's normally, if you go to Grant's website and try to attend it, you're going to pay $5,000. That's how much they charge. You can take this workshop for $997. That's a sign up in the next 2 hours thing. If you're interested in that, send me a message. Okay. Send me a message and we will get you. You can go to sales. By the way, the website is sales.pathtomastery.net. You just go there, you can sign up, message me, and I'll send you the code. Okay. There's your opportunity. So I'm going to share one more story with you, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. All right. So in 2017, I had signed up, or I joined a group of real estate agents, top agents around the country in a one-year mastermind. At the first event, everyone was challenged to select a health track. The options were yoga, which, I thought sounded pretty wimpy for me. Interval training, which was, not bad because I had some CrossFit experience. It's in pretty good shape. an Ironman race, which was like, hell no. I mean, I didn't even own a bike at the time. I never ran more than a 5K, and I rarely knew how to swim. Okay, so the interval was the easy choice for me. So over the next few days, everyone at this event got pressure from the host to step up to the next level. So if you selected Ironman, if you selected interval, Ironman. If you selected yoga, interval. Okay, so I was pretty content with my decision to stick with the interval. But at the same time, there was something, a little part of me that just knew I could do more. So on the last night, I did agree to step it up and go to the next level of the Ironman. And I felt pretty good about my decision to do that Lake Placid Ironman race until my first time showing up at that YMCA Ellington pool and swimming one lap. I mean, I swam one lap across the pool and I panicked. I thought, what have I got myself into? My God, after one lap, I just drank nasty chlorine water and I couldn't even breathe. In my head, I instantly did the numbers and I realized I'd have to complete 78 laps to finish this race. And I thought, oh my God, this is impossible. I left the pool. I called my wife and I said, "Hun, this is impossible. I need to get out of it." Now, my wife is always super supportive. And she said, "You can do it." And I knew I wasn't getting anywhere there. So I said, "Okay, I love you." I didn't believe her, but I said, "Okay." So my next call was to the event host, Adam. And I'm not going to repeat exactly what he said to me here because I can't. But his essentially message was hire a coach. And I said, "They have swim coaches?" And he said, "Yeah, click." So I went to the YMCA counter and they gave me the number for Joel. I spoke with Joel later that day and he told me his fee was $80 an hour. My next thought was, well, I can figure this out on my own. But I did agree to meet him. So over the next 4 days, I got some help from the lifeguard. I mean, the lifeguard was not a great instructor and he couldn't even really give me his full attention, but his instruction was free. So I even actually considered canceling Joel, but I followed through. So at the first meeting with Joel, he started by watching me swim back and down, and I made it back and down without drowning, and I'd come a long way in 4 days. So he helped me make a few small changes in my stroke, and he watched me swim back and down again with the new stroke. We did this a few times, but he let me rest in between laps. And I said, "This is not so bad." So he told me to practice for about 30 minutes. He was going to meet me the next morning. I came so close to saying, no, I'm all set. I can do this. But I agreed. So the next morning, he had me swim back and forth with the new stroke. And I was so proud. I made it back and forth. And before I could even catch my breath, he said, "Go again." And I think I said, "Now?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." And he walked along the side of the pool next to me as I got to the other end. And then I got to the other end and I was breathing heavy. And he said, "Go back." And I says, I can't. And he said, "Go back." And he yelled it at me. And I turned around and I started swimming. And I swam and I was breathing heavy and I was drinking the water, but I made it back. And I made it back. And I couldn't even believe it. I just did 4 laps without stopping. Less than 6 days ago, I could barely do 1 lap. I was drinking pool water and I wanted to quit. Today, I just did 4. And here's the interesting thing about this. Thinking about it, I probably could have done 4 laps on the first day. I just needed somebody to push me. And there was nobody there to push me. And in just 5 weeks later, I had done 16 laps without stopping with Joel. So the process with Joel lasted about 4 months. And then until I felt comfortable on my own. And then I ended up hiring a triathlon coach who helped me with everything. What I want you to understand from this story is Joel pushed me to do things that I thought were impossible. Things that helped me in my life, in my business, in swimming, have breakthroughs. And these breakthroughs showed up not just in swimming and in biking and all that. These breakthroughs showed up in my business. They showed up in my life. They showed up in the way I carried myself when I left that pool. And I know some of you that watched this presentation earlier are thinking, you know what, I can figure this stuff out. That was pretty clear. I can figure this out on my own. Or I know some of y'all also thinking, hey, you know what, I can find someone that's going to help me for free, because that's what we do on Clubhouse. We get all the free advice. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, free advice is great. But I believe with all my heart that hiring Joel was the most important piece in me completing that Ironman race and doing the thing that I thought was impossible. Joel pushing me. I don't know if I would have figured that out on my own. I probably would have quit, to be honest with you. All right. And the free advice from the lifeguard, he didn't have enough time to pour into me, and I wasn't paying him. So he didn't owe me anything. So here's what I believe. I believe that this training I just described is your opportunity to change your business and find your breakthrough and do the thing in your life that you may think right now is impossible. And I'm going to encourage you to take the next step right now and sign up for this 2-day workshop. And if you're in this room right now, if you're listening to this right now on May 22nd, 2022, go sign up. Go to sales.pathtomastery.net. DM me for the special code. I'll give you a code so you can take $1,000 off. 1,000. So the event's $19.97. Right now, you can get 1,000. You can change your life right now for $1,000. I promise you, this isn't just about doing a 2-day workshop. It's about investing in yourself. And these are skills you're going to have for the rest of your life. So anyway, you can go to the site, sales.pathtomastery.net. Get the information you need. And I look forward to seeing you in the workshop.